When we transcend religious practices and enter the realm of spiritual practices, that means we are focusing mainly on spiritual experiences and also making our religious practices more experienceable. For example, when you are in front of a statue of the Lord and you bow down, you are not bowing to the statue, you are bowing to the Lord. Think like that. Statue is not God, it represents God. Like God is everywhere. So we have reverential attitude toward trees, towards the sky, towards the mountains, towards the human beings, animals, plants, whatnot. Spirituality says try to experience the divinity in everything, and especially symbols, statues, murtis that we worship. We should be able to feel the presence. So there is nothing wrong when your parents or your uncles, they invite you for worshipping. Go with a lot of joy and participate. There is absolutely nothing wrong. That does not bring you down from spirituality to religion. You have already experienced religion. Now you are experiencing spirituality. It is not against spirituality. So religion is a stepping stone into spirituality, and we should not ignore the values, the dogmas, knowledge system which religion brings about in our life. They're great. As I said, worshipping is great. Bowing in front of a statue of a god, murti, is great. But make it experienceable. Feel the presence of the Lord. Be it temple or when you go to a church and you are in front of the statue of Lord Jesus Christ or there is a cross, remind yourself why you are there. Honoring the life of Lord Jesus, imbibing the values that he lived for, love and sacrifice. Similarly, all the temples people visit understand the value of the system, value that temple represents. And we have multitudes of gods and goddesses, and each one represents something remarkable. Try to understand that. Every ritual has a significance. Only thing we do not know the meaning of that ritual, the value of that ritual. But thank God to the people in villages especially who continue to maintain those rituals without knowing why. We have lost this knowledge. And since rituals are there, now it is upon us to find out why we do what we do. I'll share some knowledge that I have received. Why we worship Hanuman, why we worship Mother Durga, why do we have the symbols of Lord Ganesha, and what do they signify? Lord Shiva, for example, Lord Shiva. Every statue that we have seen of Lord Shiva, or every photograph we have seen of Lord Shiva, how do you look at them? We see him sitting in a meditation pose and is lost in dhyana. There is this cobra around his neck. There is a trishul behind. There is the moon in his jata. What else? And he's sitting on Mount Kailash, which is full of snow. Now, when you imagine this situation, do you think it's permanently sitting in the snow? But it says that though the environment is against you, everything can go against you, yet you are in a dhyana. You are in a state of dhyanmaya. That's one. Second, he's meditating. It also shows Lord or Deva, they also need to meditate and also try to find out upon whom are they meditating. Why are they meditating? जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना, हम किस खेत की मूली है को हम नहीं करेंगे, तुम्हें भी करना पड़ेगा. Cobra represents dangers. Also cobra represents sensuousness. One who has a control over fear and sensuousness through dhyana. That is Lord Shiva. And we have to imbibe those qualities. Now when you look at Hanuman, the very name that has been dissected by Pujya Lalaji Maharaj, and he says, split this word Hanu and Man. Hanu means without, Man means ego, respect, disrespect. One who has transcended likes and dislikes is Hanuman. We have to imbibe those qualities. And as you already know, point C is the strategic point according to Babuji, which is all about likes and dislikes. And once we transcend that, you are already eligible for liberation. So these are indirect way of teaching us something, but unfortunately, we begin to worship. Imagine you have your wife's photo. Would you start worshipping your wife's photo? My darling, how good you look. I bow before you. I touch your feet. क्या करोगे? People whom we love, gods and goddesses, they must be nauseated. Because first of all, you don't really have true love. If you had true love, you would not show off. Do you show off your love for your wife or husband? You don't. But we tend to show off, displaying them everywhere. Anyway, I don't want to hurt people's sentiments. Durga, for example, a woman, female goddess, sitting on a tiger. Can you imagine a woman sitting on a tiger? Again, it shows a goddess who has control over animalistic tendencies and who has mastered even taming the tiger, meaning she is fearless. We have to become fearless like her. So all these things that we are worshipping, they convey a very strong message that at least one day it will get into your head. But it never gets into our head because we worship in a very ritualistic way, out of habits, out of fear, out of temptations. That's why this true knowledge does not descend in us, why we do what we do. What about Ganesha? To me, it's a very beautiful symbol created by our sages. You know, Sahajmarg philosophy. The fundamental thing is that we transform ourselves from mere human animal level to become humane. And then we transcend to angelic, to divine state. That is our progress. When you observe Ganesha standing and dancing in the rain with an umbrella over his head, what comes to your mind? To me, it represents the entire Sahaswag journey. Then an elephant being portrayed as human, walking on two legs and dancing in the rain with umbrella over his head, walking with his little mouse. Such a joyful state, blissful state, Satchit Ananda state. So this visual graphic represents this transformation from human to humane to divine. And all this can happen when if an elephant can sit on a mouse and ride. Is it really possible in the real world? No. But again, it's a symbol stating this very fundamental truth that you lead a life in such a way that your presence cannot hurt even the smallest of creature. We should always ask ourselves why we do what we do.